Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and friends beyond the binary, good evening and welcome to the beginning of the next season for Johnny Scrims. My name is Warren Jugglegod Hammond, and I am joined in the casting booth this evening by my partner in crime, Mr. Amintus Major. How you doing tonight, Mr. Amintus?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking, Juggle. And today we have a very interesting show match between two teams that participated in the previous season of Johnny Scrims, Crimson and Yoinkers. And there's a storied history between these two teams from what we've gathered so far in our cursory information glancing. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out because, these two teams have met many times previously, and in their last meeting, it was Crimson that came out on top.
Yeah, and if I understand things correctly, pretty much every time they've met, it's been Crimson coming out on top. So there's... we end up at Lijiang Tower first, and so it's a great way to start things off.
I have to agree. There's a huge variety of different types of map within Lijiang Tower. You have all the sub-maps with their different play styles and different map geometry. And first off, we're going to Control Center, and if you've watched any Overwatch League lately, you know exactly what's about to happen. This is Brawl City right here. Both teams locking in a lot of shields, a lot of healing, and a lot of upfront damage as well. You're going to typically see things like the Symmetra, which, is really strong on this point because everybody's always within beam range, it feels like. There's not a lot of opportunities where you have to, force out a right click rather than, just charging up the beam, and the Junkrat as well, just getting in tons of AoE damage. So both teams will be walking into White Room to start things off. Both teams dropping the teleporter to get there a little bit quicker. Perfect mirror comps coming out as well.
Yeah, they are. And we are started. The first fire strikes have been thrown, the first hammers have been slung, the turrets are dealing a lot of damage, and already Lud's shield is going down very, very low. It's forced to kind of back up around that corner. But at this point, it looks like we've got Johnny, let's see here, Team Crimson taking control of the area first. It's going to be a hard push in for Johnny, or for the Yoinkers at this point.
Crimson will get first map control off of a nice pick. Scrim Raptor going down there, but Lude going so aggressive, taking out GDB to start this next fight off too.
Yeah, GDB going down. That's going to be almost an instant fight win and a back out from the side of Yoinkers. They're going to just regroup and try again.
And with Cheg's amplification matrix in this next engagement, if he's able to lay that down before Johnny gets his out, it's going to be very easy to maintain this space. Both of them dropping at the same time. Nice pick from Johnny.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Already we're seeing two picks come in, this time for the side of Yoinkers, for Johnny Scrims. They're going to be able to push to point now and probably get the rest of the team swept off as well. But they are putting up a decent fight right now. We see a teleporter coming out. Sim trying to get some into the backline potentially. We got Immortality out now from the side of the Yoinkers as well to try and keep everybody up. And even though this was going in favor of the Yoinkers first, it looks like Crimson is holding on very well, and in fact, they've already pushed this percentage up over 50%. Now we get a couple of trades coming in. Both teams now at a 4v4 situation, but Johnny is able to get out the Immortality field to try and keep him up. The tire comes out. but nothing happens with it that I can see, and we're going to get this point flipped over now to the Yoinkers.
Yoinkers with the nice retake attempt after a bit of a botched recontest coming out from Crimson. They had that teleporter to reach the point faster, but it felt like they didn't really have a goal in mind on how they were going to take the fight. And you already see Holy Stove swapping over to the McCree for his retake. 20% now on the clock for Yoinkers.
Oh, and we see the Gravitic Flux come in, as well as a Riptire, but the beat is out from Jambu before they go down, but it's still going the way of the Yoinkers.
That is just a disgusting combination. The Gravitic Flux plus the Riptire, so much damage. Not even a sound barrier from Jammu can keep Crimson alive through that engagement. And now, as the clock continues to tick forward, we have to watch GDB shatter. See if that manages to get any value against Luds in this next engagement.
Yeah, and now we see that Yoinkers have pushed up very, very far. This is a great hold that they've got right outside, almost of the spawn for Yoinkers. Oh, GD throws down the shatter, doesn't catch anybody, and it's Lud who's able to get the charge onto Zuko. So that is a ton of damage that now the Yoinkers don't have at their disposal, and Lud also has this shatter online. But the Gravitic Flux comes in from Stainless first, and now we see Lud gets the charge onto GD, and they go down. And this looks like it's gonna be a retake for the Crimson.
Crimson has to thank Lud for that heroic play on that first engagement, manages to block everybody from GDB Shatter and get a pin kill onto Zuko to create the 5v6, making it so easy. And now we're in final fight territory. We have to watch Brigitte sound barrier in this next fight. If it doesn't get any value, it's gonna be really difficult to retake.
Yeah, if she can get that early, it'll be really, really good. But there's already a pick from Lud onto XS, and the rest of the picks are just following very, very quickly. I don't know if the Yoinkers are going to be able to get another recontest here.
Lud just walked into the right room and 1v3'd them. No chance to use the sound barrier. You just shatter them to death. And now this last minute contest is not going to happen. Brigitte's sound barrier gets canceled mid-animation, and nobody is left to touch the objective. Yoinkers will have to go back to the drawing board.
Yeah, they will. But fortunately for them, there's two more maps that we can possibly go to, which both play differently. So if they need to think about a composition switch or something along those lines, they can certainly do that.
Yeah, unfortunately, with Night Market here, you're probably going to see more of the same from the victorious Crimson side. The teleporter Symmetra strategy, just going directly into the window to reach the point immediately, is very common. And from what we've seen, they seem pretty comfortable going aggressive, taking a lot of space on Brawl. So I expect to see more of the same here. However, we already see the side of Yoinkers making their own compositional swap, like you mentioned. We're going towards something a little more divey, a little more tempo with this Echo and this Sombra. If you start to cycle ultimates with this composition, you can effectively give up the first fight and then start to play for ults. You're already going to see this teleporter coming up, but not a lot happening. GDB will go for a slam, but it's not going to result in anything as the Brawl comp sort of spreads out on the point and waits for it to unlock.
And now we see Zuko in the air trying to take out these turrets on the inside, but it is Stainless who's able to get a pick onto Zuko. Just smacks him in the face there. GDB trying to take out that immortality field is able to successfully get it away, but has to run away from Nutcake on that May pick. That's going to spell trouble for GDB on that ball, as is this Symmetra beam. There is so much power coming out right now from Holy on that photon projector. That's just tremendous damage that goes into anybody that they point that thing at. And now we see they've got the turrets set up back on point, and another very, very solid hold on this point for Crimson.
And an exit pick onto Brigitte spells the end of this push for Yoinkers. They're, again, going to have to figure out how they're trying to counter this. It feels like they went a little too aggressive on that first engagement with Zuko's Echo going down so early, and now he swaps over to Pharah, a little bit safer, a little bit more damage at range. But still, the problem is, how are you going to access this backline? Maybe you can cut off Cheg in this archway.
Yeah, and speaking of the backline, we see GDB now with this minefield looking to the side, seeing if they can get an opening to try and start something. Maybe pick off a couple of the supports. Maybe bait out that immortality field from Cheg. But right now, nothing's really starting. But here we go. GDB in with that minefield. Puts it all over point. There's a hack in on the Reinhardt. Blood goes down very, very low. But it's Holy who is picked first. And now we see May just holding on for dear life at the edge of that cliff. But they go down as well to that nefarious wrecking ball from GDB.
The game plan is pretty apparently obvious here from Yoinkers. They're playing for their ultimates before making any serious stabs at a contest. They drop the nano onto Zuko, get the mines out from GDB as well. And that just causes so much havoc on the objective. The Brawl comp can't stay there for too much longer. Holy Stove going down spells the end of that defense for them. But they have this TP to go back to point. GDB's trying to interrupt it, but he gets cut off by the wall.
Oh, yeah, and Johnny goes down very, very low on that Ana. That could have been catastrophic. And now we see the barrage come in. It isn't able to catch anything, but Lud gets a fire strike onto Johnny, but it's quickly equalized by Zuko, who gets a pick onto one of Crimson's supports. Never mind, make that two. And we see Brigitte is able to get that res off. And now this is going very, very well for the Yoinkers.
Crimson tried to make that aggressive teleporter play, going directly towards Johnny Scrims on that Ana. And while, yes, they do remove him, you forget about that Brigitte Mercy on the battlefield. Able to pop the Valkyrie, res up Johnny, and basically equalize the fight in its entirety. Great job from Zuko to recognize cutting off Che was the key to winning that fight. But into this next engagement, Crimson has so many different ways to access the objective and keep themselves safe. I'm looking at Jamu's sound barrier as well.
We see a amplification matrix popped early on this high ground from the side of Crimson. They also have to pop that immortality field as well to keep themselves up. Presumably from all this damage coming out of Zuko. Oh, the EMP is absolutely massive. It catches all 6, the bomb catches 3, and that is just a tremendous play from the Yoinkers. Wow!
The Yoinkers, they eviscerate Crimson on that engage, and they do it with just 2 ultimates. Look, they have their economy in order for this last engagement. They drop the nano onto either GDB or Zuko, making it so easy to pressure this backline, and Jamu's sound barrier needs to come out here.
Alright, and now we see Zuko once again with this barrage. The minefield comes in to try and distract things, but now we see a nano Pharah. That skill so much damage. They instantly, they were slept almost instantly, but it doesn't matter because with that nano, that barrage did so much damage already, taking out that Mei and that support. Jamu now trying as much as they can to stay alive here, but they are hacked to go down very, very quickly. And this, I believe, is gonna be second point going the way of the Yoinkers.
Yoinkers with a nice comeback, great understanding of how to play this composition over time. They don't panic when they lose that first fight. Maybe they gave up a couple ultimates, sure, but they go back to the spawn room, they figure out exactly what they need to do, and the moment they get control, they maintain it throughout the rest of that map. And as we go towards this third point, it's going to be important to see if they maintain that control once again. They're going to be running the same composition because Pharah on this map in particular is just obscenely easy to play. You can play inside of the top of the pillar here on the main part of the objective, just completely out of range of everybody. And you see Crimson swapping their composition to sort of this Tracer Sombra dive comp. We see a lot of Korean teams playing it on this map in particular, and it'll be interesting to see if Che can survive against all this threat from Zuko.
It really will. Now, excuse me, we already see GD is there at the bridge to meet Crimson. Hack comes in early on Lud. That's gonna be tough for them, but Stainless is actually able to get a pick onto the main tank for Yoinkers, and now Lud is able to jump into the backline as well, and there's another pick onto Brigitte. That's gonna be a fight win for Crimson.
GDB going a little bit too far ahead of the rest of his team as we see Che literally fading into spawn to take out Johnny just at the end of that engagement, but there was a bit of a disconnect from the side of Yoinkers on that first engage, and once GDB gets hacked and taken out, the rest of the comp kind of falls apart. You don't really have a main source of threat mitigation to absorb all that damage, and it's going to be difficult to retake with this comp as well. You only have this Lucio Mercy for heals, and if you take any amount of considerable poke, it's not going to be easily healed back up because Brigitte is attached at the hip to Zuko on this next engage.
Yeah, interesting swap over from GDB to that Winston. That's much less survivable, but he does have this shield, which is a nice benefit. Lud already picks up Johnny, though, as well as XS. So that's, once again, going to be a fantastic hold from Crimson.
Big with a great recognition of the weakness of Yoinkers' composition there. Just pops the Coalescence, runs directly into the backline, and just eviscerates Johnny, removes him from the map. And like I mentioned, you don't really have a lot of ways to survive aggression from the side of Yoinkers, and you have to figure out a good way to open things up. Scrim Raptor's EMP is probably going to be the way to do it, but he needs to get it off before Nutcake does.
Yeah, and unfortunately, there it goes, the EMP. It catches 4. This time from Nutcake, though. They're able to get it off first. and that's going to be the difference maker, I think, in this fight, as Holy is already able to pick out GDB, that main tank, and then, despite Zuko trying to use that barrage to make something happen, they go down as well. Yoinkers barely able to keep Brigitte up during that Valkyrie.
They were definitely not ready for that. Yoinkers had no idea where Nutcake Sombra was, just pops that EMP, but in this next engage, Scrim Raptor has full reign to just go whenever he wants. Once the rest of his team is ready to go, he's going to press that Q button, and Zuko and GDB will be ready to follow up at any moment. Watch out for this pulse bomb from Holy Soap in this next engagement.
Alright, there's the bomb in, probably an EMP following just after it. Yes, there it is. Nobody goes down to the bomb, though. So they're going to have to see what they can do to take advantage of that. And huge B comes in, bomb comes in. Nobody is going down, though, yet. We see that Zuko's able to get somebody stuck with that pulse bomb, but again, nobody goes down. And until that is, the Crimson is able to get several picks onto Yoinkers. Scrim Raptor doing everything they can to stay alive, but at 99, that's going to be it. And Crimson takes your first map tonight.
Dominant victory on that third point of Lijiang there. It seems like they just had a much better understanding of how to counter Yoinkers' composition. And we have to look at the support line as to why. It feels like with that Mercy Lucio, you don't have a lot of healing overall to just kind of survive through that initial burst of engagement. From this Moira rush, it's very front-loaded, right? You have that damage orb, the healing orb, Coalescence that charges up really quickly, but once all of those materials to engage are gone, right? They have to break through those shields first before they start slapping people around. But looks like on the defending side, Yoinkers is going to be running similar to what we saw on the second map of Lijiang. They've got the Pharah once again, a Sombra as well, but the double bubble, like I mentioned, is going to come out here. And while it's not as strong as it would be on other maps like Gibraltar, it's still very effective here because you have a lot of terrain to work with and some high grounds to play around with as well.
Yeah. Now I wonder if we're going to see, I wonder if we're going to see Yoinkers having to give up a lot of space because that's when this composition really pops off, is when you get those ultimates. Do you think we're going to see almost Crimson getting to the first point before we really see a solid engage?
Comes down to the performance of Zuko, who's already taken very low from a headshot by Holy Sov. If he's able to poke them down, it's going to be really hard for Crimson to take a lot of space, so it's on RNG to force Zuko out and allow the rest of Crimson to walk up and go aggressive. GDB going very low.
Ooh, Holy goes down though to Scrim Raptor. Scrim Raptor is able to sneak in behind them and get that pick. So that already is starting out well for Yoinkers this time. We see Excess. Excess though goes down very low and is in fact picked by that beam from Echo. But we have another pick from Lud this time on that Orisa, and we are in fact seeing a double shield, but instead from the attacking side. Kind of unusual to see that Orisa.
Lud's Halt ability being used to full effect. He gets another clutch pick on Brigida. This defense is going to be so difficult to pull off now. It has to come down to Johnny and getting this nano online, but I don't think it's going to happen. No, RNG doing a lot of work right now on that Echo. Takes out Zuko with those sticky bombs. They're really doing well right now, and in fact, look at that. They're already 85% to a duplication. Johnny Scrims drops the nano onto Scrim Raptor to hold some space on this cart, but it's not going to last for long. Lud's supercharger comes in next, the EMP to counter it.
Yeah, the EMP comes in to catch his four, and we get a pick onto Lud, but is it going to be enough? Doesn't look like it is. Johnny only has the supports left on point, and that's going to be first point going over to Crimson.
That defense was unfortunately really staggered from Yoinkers. It felt like at every turn they were down a member for one reason or another, but the biggest one has to be Lud on this Orisa. His halts have been so clutch in setting up some of these key picks, namely onto the Mercy at the very end of that first point push, and Yoinkers has to figure out a good way to play around this Orisa. It feels like they're really struggling to deal with that ability in particular.
Yeah, and especially with so many ults coming online for Crimson, and not really that many on the side of Yoinkers yet. Sombra again, that seems to be a very good pick from Yoinkers, and now we see Gravitic Flux come in and catches a couple on the side of Yoinkers. Transcendence popped on point to try and keep his team up for a check, and there the grab comes in. But yeah, it's huge. In fact, we get everybody from Yoinkers good for Crimson.
Stainless actually managed to eat that Graviton Surge. I'm not sure if he noticed it. It's a little smaller in the kill feed than you'd expect, but this is a dominating push coming in from Crimson. 5 minutes on the clock to go into third.
Finally, we see a composition switch come out. So they have opted for that double shield now to try and maybe prevent some of this damage from Holy. But Stainless is still able to get a pick onto Scrim, who is swapped over now to this.
Crimson has so many different threats that Yoinkers has to worry about. You have Holy Silver on this Widowmaker, the pulls from Lud, and obviously the focusing beam from RNG. Just so many different things that can instantly remove you from the fight if you don't pay attention. I mean, look, people are just dying left and right.
Yeah. Mortality field out from Brigitte. She's Yoinkers as a couple of members try again. They're satisfied with being able to push this card in. This being their first fight loss.
Zuko with a clutch flank after GDB goes down. He's like, okay, we're down to Orisa. I have to be the hero here. And he pulls up. He makes a big splash, gets 3 kills. But the copy from RNG going to really increase the tempo of this next engagement. That window from Brigida will go completely to waste as everybody from Crimson literally just walks all
and
over
at this point, it's going to be a tough contest if Yoinkers is even going to be able to get anybody on the point. As we see a late pick come in from Stainless. We've got GDB on that Wrecking Ball on point, but they go down to the Flux. Brigitte goes down to Jamu, and even though Johnny is able to pop this Transcendence, oh my gosh, the eat again from Stainless. Fantastic work taking out that grab, and that's going to be it.
Wow. Okay, this is dominance. You know what? I'm gonna say it. Crimson, you just dominated Yoinkers. That was impressive, and I think it really did come off the back of their DPS were doing a lot of work as well, but it was set up in particular by the tank line. Lud and Stainless popping off in this double shield comp. I think their way that they just take so much space and start throwing all those cooldowns extremely aggressively. Like you see Stainless, the Matrix or whatever that ability is called. I think it's Kinetic Grasp. Yeah, that's
Kinetic Grasp. Kinetic Grasp. Yeah.
How do you eat 2 ultimates in a round as Sigma? Like that just doesn't happen regularly. The fact that he's even able to do that, let alone actually pull it off, just he has to be playing so aggressively to be in those positions to eat the ultimates, and it's really impressive to see that coming out from, you know, not necessarily the highest level of play, but clearly these tanks have a great understanding of how far they can push the limits of those heroes. You know, a lot of people play a little bit more afraid, a little bit slower on double shield, but you can absolutely turn the tempo up to 11 if you're up to the task, and that's exactly what Lud and Stainless are. They are ready for this.
Yeah. I gotta agree with you. Stainless truly living up to their name.
Yep.
Not a stain on that tank's play so far.
Very clean.
And very, very clean. Exactly. Stainless steel. cold as steel as well. All right. And now we've got Yoinkers are coming out with the dive comp again. They seem to really favor this, and
I'm excited guys already.
Because I love casting dive play. Wow, Holy goes down already. My gosh, the Scrim Raptor. All right, and now we see GDB diving in, trying to get something going, but is very quickly taken out by Chegg. All that damage coming in from Zenyatta is really nothing to joke about, but there is an anti-nade that hits Crimson, and they have to fall back tremendously as Zuko pops off with that Genji taken out. Help themselves with if they get dove like that. Now the hack just as fast of a push from Yoinkers on this first point.
Nice sleep onto RNG as well. He's stuck on that high ground. He will go down for this next push. Should be about a 6v5, and yeah, Crimson recognizes this is going to be very difficult to retake immediately. They just set up Holy Sieve on this bridge, give him a shield as well to sort of facilitate this aggressive position, but if he doesn't manage to get a pick, it's going to be really hard to retake this. Aggressive Nano.
Yeah, the Nano comes in and immediately Holy goes down, followed very quickly by Lud. And now we see GDB dropping onto the canoe there to get out of the way and stay alive. Excellent play from him. Nice Winston work, really.
Catches a free ferry ride to ensure that he stays alive. Get some extra kills back onto Johnny. He's already, he's 25% of that next nano. And while there is a bit of a race condition here with GDB and Zuko, both vying for that nano boost, Zuko's blade still can get value without any defensives on the enemy field. If Chegg doesn't build this Transcendence in time and Jamu's Immortality field gets forced out early, this blade should still be able to pop off, especially when you combo it with something else like excess use Self-Destruct.
All right, and we see Zuko looking for that blade, looking for that opening, seeing what they can find. And now, the Hulk comes in though. We hear a window come out from Jamu. That's a lot of damage now being pumped through that amplification matrix. It's RNG who goes down first though. Or no, sorry, it's Grim Raptor who goes down first to RNG this time. Getting a little bit of revenge for their widow there. Zuko is, oh my gosh, that deflect almost takes out Lud. Even though they were high in the sky from that not from the kinetic grasp, but from the graviton, no, not graviton surge, from that ability that Sigma has. And now we see Crimson able to push Yoinkers back towards their spawn.
Yeah, we don't have Transcendence. Our lamp's probably going to be gone. Nice pick onto Johnny to start this next fight off, but they're able to counter the blade just by throwing Gravitic Flux directly onto the Genji, preventing him from moving around and getting max value out of the blade. Even Brigitte's sound barrier is unable to keep him alive through all that pressure. And we see Yoinkers really struggling to start this next engage. People are just getting picked left and right here. It's another 5v6, and they're not going to be able to start this engage till they have their foot in the door. I mean, people are literally just sitting at spawn waiting for the rest of these picks to respawn, and it seems like their only tool to take this next fight and actually have a good chance at it is this EMP bomb, and with all of this terrain on second point, it's going to be really hard to pull off consistently.
Yeah, we have seen that EMP bomb, though, get a lot of value. If Lijiang Tower is anything of a preview, we know that they can do it. Although it's going to be tough with the supercharger out. They're just going to have to wait for this to go down, I think.
The Nano?
Yoinkers. Oh, wow, Nano comes in. The EMP catches only 2 this time, and Chegg is able to get that Transcendence off and keep his team alive underneath that tremendous damage coming in from the Yoinkers. And now we see Excess trying to maybe get something going here, maybe deciding to back out. little unclear at the moment,
Yeah,
but with
Crimson
Zuko going
able
down,
to
that's going to be
easily dissuade this disjointed dive from Yoinkers. A nice nade to try to start something else going on here, but RNG's copy is going to make this very difficult.
Oh, they get hacked immediately, but they are able to take out Scrim Raptor very, very quickly and re-engage as quickly as well. They get the Primal too, and now that's going to cause a tremendous amount of trouble. Looking for that, and still searching for Johnny, and Holy is able to take them out eventually. The bomb comes in. Will it catch anybody? It does. It gets Stainless this time. So one takedown from Crimson, and Blood going very, very low, and in fact, getting picked off. GD using this Primal to knock everything, including Bob, off of the map.
That was very interesting to watch. They hacked Bob up on that bridge and just sent him absolutely flying with the Primal Rage knockback plus the boot from Lucio. And now, once Johnny Scrims gets back to the cart, starts pushing it, they have this Nano Blade online, and with Chegg only at 10% away from the Transcendence, it's a battle of who's going to be more clutch.
When here comes the Nano Blade, and it is massive! 3 picks! 4 picks from Zuko! This man can't be stopped! On this Genji. Oh, eventually, never mind. He eventually is stopped by Holy, but only barely, as there is hardly any health left on that hero.
Yeah, sure, you could stop him, but he already killed 5 people. So I think that fight is going to be over in favor of the Yoinkers. And going into this third point here, Crimson is going to feel comfortable knowing that they have a larger time bank, but they still have to put up a good defense here. It's going to come off of that signature aggression from the tanks.
Yeah, all right. And you see Chegg holding onto that Transcendence in case they need it. A nade hits Stainless, but they're able to stay up. Although now it looks like they're going down very, very low. Supercharger is out now, but the EMP comes in and catches 5, and it also makes that Supercharger useless. And Scrim Raptor is able to get 2 picks, 1 onto the support Chegg, and that is huge because now they don't have that Transcendence to try and keep them up. GDB now looking for some RNG action here, is able to get the Primal, but not before they go down. And now, this is a small opening, a small chink in the armor that is Yoinkers right now on point. That Crimson may be able to take advantage of Zuko, reflecting some damage back into the air, but it is that, look at the bomb from XSU. XSU comes in huge again. This Diva play is on point today. They get demeched, but maybe they can get back into that remech and find a kill. Nope, it's not going to be, as the Crimson team is able to hold solid right at less than a meter left to go.
GDB pops the Primal to get back to spawn faster as we see Yoinkers swapping over to the Brawl comp. Good decision from them. You know, they're forced to play in a much closer range engagement spot. And the double shield comp is clearly absent from Crimson as well. They recognize, hey, we can't really make a good use case out of this composition, so everybody's swapping over now. And now the only ult left on the field is RNG's copy, so depending on what he chooses, it should be an easy fight win for Crimson.
Alright, GDB starting this engagement off, trying to fight a little bit. Oh, but there's a DMAC already onto Stainless, that's big! And Blood goes down very, very low right now. RNG picks a Lucio to copy. You have to think that that was some kind of a mistake, but they get this beat to try and keep their team up. At least what is left of them, because both tanks are down right now, and that could spell disaster for Crimson. Although they are going to have the respawn advantage, and if they can keep this going, oh no, XSU is able to take out RNG. That might spell doom and disaster for Crimson, as we see Johnny also pops his amplification matrix, and Zuko able to get Chegg down too. That is so much healing that Crimson doesn't have anymore. And with 15 seconds left on the clock, and a bomb on point from XSU, this looks like it might go the way of Yoinkers, and they finish with time on the clock.
Just barely. Not like it would have mattered anyways, I think, if you still managed to capture the objective with any time remaining. Even if it is an overtime, you will get a minute back. Nonetheless, big advantage to Crimson going into this next portion of the map, having 4 times as much time to work with here. So, you know, that doesn't necessarily mean it's lights out for Yoinkers. They're going to have the chance to try to push this card as far as they can, set the goal for themselves going into this next push, but they have to keep that in the back of their minds, like, these guys have so much more time than us, and we have to go as far as we possibly can, so it's going to come down to how far they can really push the limits of whatever comp they choose, because you need to start taking a ton of aggressive space, start to maintain it, and allow yourself as much time and as much distance on the card as possible. So you might end up seeing a little bit of cheese with Zuko locking in this Bastion here, but just kind of indexing through all their options, trying to figure out what's going to work the best.
Yeah, and we see Lud deciding to go back to spawn and swap over to this Reinhardt. Looks like they're going to go for the Brawl comp instead of the double shield here on defense, which I think would probably end up working better for them if it looked like Yoinkers were still running the same composition they were, but now we're seeing a double shield come out from them. Yeah, with this Bastion
spawn
pick.
hold from Crimson, they're playing as close as they can. They want to burn as much time as possible. If they can win a single fight here, it's going to be disastrous for Yoinkers.
Yeah, and we already see the wall come out from RNG, and now Zuko chunking in as much damage as they can into that shield. The immortality field goes down, but it doesn't matter because members of Yoinkers have already been picked, and they're going to go back to spawn and try again.
Brawl is just so good at these spawn holds. With the Lucio, you amp speed directly towards any single member of the enemy team, and if you remove them, it's value immediately because that's just more time off the clock. GDP swaps to Ryan to try to make it a little easier to get us spawn.
Oh my gosh, RNG, presumably with that wall blocking them off, but oh my gosh, the TP is huge from Zuko. Look at that, they take out Check. That's the opening that they needed, and Zuko drops down but is immediately taken out from a charge and that Peacekeeper from Holy, and it looks like, yeah, maybe they're still going to be able to hold, but I think they're going to have to back up regardless because of this spawn advantage that Yoinkers has. But already we are in overtime.
They got exactly what they wanted. They could care less if they lose this fight because, look, they already have that amp matrix for Chega online in the next fight, as well as the self-destruct from Stainless. Two great tools at clearing out the cart and preventing people from contesting due to threat. The only way that you're going to be able to survive is with some kind of aggressive play coming out from Yoinkers, and they don't really have the tools necessary to do that yet. It's going to come down to XSU's Gravitic Flux if he can get it on time before Jam to Sound Barrier.
And here we go with the Amplification Matrix. Hopefully that'll allow XS to get some of that damage in, but Crimson very, very intelligently just backs off and says, you know what, we're not going to get in the way of that. We're going to let you push a little bit further. And now Holy almost with this Deadeye could be a difference maker as well. The bomb comes in. Oh my gosh. And they are able to get excess. And that's it. They step off the point. And they, Yoinkers are able to get it almost to the first checkpoint.
This is looking pretty wrapped up for Crimson here. Not able to push it past the end of first point with the minute allotted to you is... You know, it's a tough ask to try to defend this for 4 minutes, right? Like, this is going to have to be some kind of legendary performance from Yoinkers, and maybe in the back of their minds, they're already kind of writing this map off and trying to figure out what needs to change for the next map. And in my mind, it seems like the Brawl composition is where they're struggling the hardest. Even when it is in that double shield variety, Crimson still plays it like it's Brawl. They go fast. They start to take that space aggressively away from you, and they know how to do it too, right? They're taking the skill set that they learned from Brawl and applying it to a different set of heroes and a different, situation here. So, in my mind, Yoinkers has to sort of change the way that they're playing, maybe not necessarily the heroes that they're playing, and going to Brawl now is a great way to sort of get the ball rolling, to figure out what you need to change going into the next map.
Yeah, and it looks like we're seeing them opt for a close hold as well, taking a page from Crimson's book. Because, yeah, if they're gonna, if they lose one fight, at least this way, they've got the hope of getting a second one.
Like,
right. Ooh, wall comes out early from both sides. Doesn't appear to really cut off anybody. Now, Lude goes down very, very low. And GDB is able to get that pick onto the main tank, even though that immortality feels out. Stainless goes down very low as well. GDB finding even more value. This is fast and furious, but it is coming up all Yoinkers.
And nobody goes down, most importantly, for Yoinkers. With 6 strong, they can still contain everybody from Crimson inside their spawn for as long as they can. GDB's Shatter is going to be key in pressuring out Lud. He knows that he's got it online. He swung on pretty much everybody on the side of Crimson and should be able to dominate in this Rhine v Rhine match.
Alright, and we see Ryan gets cut off very, very early because of that wall. The Shatter doesn't get any value. It's able to get blocked. But is it going to matter? Because Stainless is already demeched. And that Diva's not going to be able to do much, especially when they're caught out like that. Although, we do see a pick onto Johnny, and that is big. That's going to spell disaster for Yoinkers as we see Crimson is able to get another pick. This time on 2 more picks onto Zuko and Brigitte. Yeah, Yoinkers is going to have to back up if they have any hope of holding this point.
does questionably drop the Ant Matrix. It's not the end of the world, though. You're going to probably get it back for the next engagement. I mean, you have 3 minutes, right? Like, throwing away ults in this kind of scenario is not going to be the end of the world for you. It's going to come down to how Yoinkers ends up retaking this. They can go aggressive with this Ant Matrix, though. There's no aggressive tools besides this Blizzard coming up from RNG soon.
All right, and we see, oh, the wall comes out, but it's very quickly taken down. The Shatter comes in from Blood, but it is,
Ice Eat.
oh my gosh, what another eat. This is ridiculous. And now the Blizzard is out. The bomb comes in. It is able to get Lud. So Yoinkers may be able to live to fight another day. That is, unless Grim Raptor goes down and Zuko as well. This fight could go either way now. And despite the fact that it looks fairly even, this is going to benefit Crimson with these spawns.
RNG getting taken very low on the cart, not forcing out that ice block just yet, able to maintain it in their back pocket, and it's a 3v3 on the cart now. But with Scrim Raptor returning with this high noon, it's going to be hard for Crimson to continue this push.
Oh, yeah, and there's the high noon. Is it going to get anything? No, they just hold on to it and use it potentially even to reload. And yeah, Crimson looks like they're just going to regroup and try again.
They do have the ult advantage for this next fight, though. They're going to come up with 4 in the mid-fight if RNG can build another Blizzard on time. But XSU has been clutch at eating everything so far. They drop the Ant Matrix first, but it gets walled off.
Oh, and now we see GDB down underneath here, starting to put some pressure now onto this Reinhardt. Lud pushing around to the side. Gets staggered in. Oh, there's the remake kill from Stangless on the Scrim Raptor. That's not good. Johnny wasn't able to get the Immortality Field out just in time. And now we see the beat coming in from Jamu, giving his team some extra support there. Zuko having to go into that ice block is taken out almost immediately upon exiting it.
Nice.
And now with this bomb is able to catch Chegg though. Both Baptiste are down now, so nobody has any healing on point, so whoever gets these picks is gonna be the one who comes out on top. We see Scrim Raptor decided to swap over to the legs to try and contest. Wall comes out to try and keep him at bay, and now Crimson is able to get this cart within a meter of victory. XSU goes down very, very low on that Wrecking Ball. GDB is able to charge in at the last moment to try and contest, but it is still at 0.81 meters for Crimson. The finish line is within grasp. They can taste it, and there it is. Crimson takes a second win.
Wow. I gotta say, that was an admirable attempt at defense from Yoinkers, understanding that things were looking dire just with how big of a difference between the time banks were going into that last push, and they put up a great fight. You know, like I mentioned, that was the time to sort of make a statement like, hey, we can still play Brawl. Like, we are good at this composition. We know how to do it. And they proved it. They held for 3.5 minutes, and what a great blade from... lifted off of your shoulders, you can kind of treat every single map as like a 0-0 situation and just treat it as the practice scenario going into the next map.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you absolutely can. And excuse me. You know, one thing that I've been wondering is, given that this is a show match, I should have asked production about this beforehand. Are we actually going to go through 5 maps or not? Or are we going to stop it, you know, when one of the teams gets a W? I'm frankly going to be interested to see, because looks like we are headed to King's Road next. And if, yeah, the earlier maps are anything to show for it, this could go pretty handily in the way of Crimson.
But Yoinkers, like I mentioned, they put up a great fight at the end of Rialta there in the Brawl Mirror, so if they sort of reach into those back pockets of theirs and pull out something surprising, maybe a huge playstyle change, it could be the difference maker to keep this series going for them and try to claw back. But it's going to be difficult, like you mentioned. I think Crimson has already proven through their tank play, they know how to go aggressive, and that's going to be how Yoinkers can disengage from that. I think Crimson has repeatedly made the first move in almost every single engagement, it feels like. Until Yoinkers gets some kind of ult combo online, they're not able to sort of take space back, and Crimson, they can abuse that. If the Yoinkers doesn't have ults and they just want to play passive all the time, that's fine. That's when the aggressive playstyle really starts to, you know, put the nails in the coffin, and I think we're going to actually be going to a break very briefly, so don't go anywhere, and we'll be right back.
And we are back, everybody. Thank you for holding on for us. We are about ready to head into Kings Row, and I did get confirmation that we are in a 1-to-3 situation. So this is do or die right now for Yoinkers. If they're going to make it a longer match, it's going to be up to them to make some magic happen on this next map.
Magic may not exist, but I do still believe in Yoinkers' magical abilities, because from what we saw in the last point on Rialto there, they put up a great performance, right? It's about, in these kind of show match scenarios, I think it's really important to show off what you're capable of, and that's exactly what Yoinkers did. With their backs against the wall, 4 minutes against the clock, they still managed to burn so much time that they put up a really impressive showing, and going into this next map, it'll be interesting to see if they continue to carry that over. It's a little awkward because we did have a bit of a break, and that may have removed some of that momentum that they had going into the next map, but nonetheless, we're going to get going into Kings Row right away.
Yes, we are. Fantastic location, and we've got some Europeans in here. Kings Row, I believe, is in London. So I'm curious, how accurate does this look? Can anyone in chat let us know if you've ever been there? Because I just love getting to know these maps in real life as well. Learning little bits and pieces about them. Is there this bookstore on some corner, right? Is this cafe real or not? It's always wanted to find these things out.
I would love to spend a night at the Alderworth Hotel, personally. It looks very nice. I love the sign, the neon sign outside, and focusing more on the map itself here. This map, like we talked about briefly before the map started, this is basically just Brawl City. Like London, people are brawling constantly on this map in particular, and while we might see a couple of troll picks from the attacking side of Crimson coming out, I fully expect them to at some point mirror the Brawl comp, and that tells me that Crimson has the advantage in terms of aggression, but maybe Yoinkers in this mirror will pull out a new look. I mean, you can already see them. They're grouping in a very strange spot around this statue in this little cubby hole. XSU to scout it out. He gets taken down to half, but this could set up for an explosive first play.
Yeah, and we see this Widow. Oh no, I thought we were going to see a Widow swap, but RNG is going to stay on it right now. Seeing if they can't find a head or two. Zuko goes down very, very low, as does Jamu, and both tanks now for Crimson. Trying to get around that statue, really not finding any way to do it just yet. And now we see GDB swinging that rocket hammer. Oh my gosh, look at this. The wall comes out, but it isn't quite able to catch anything. GDB goes down low, and in fact is taken out by Blood, but it's quickly traded for Zuko. Zuko proving to be the superior sniper, at least in this matchup. But right now, Crimson is able to get a lot of progress onto this first point. In fact, looks like Yoinkers are going to give them 1, possibly 2 ticks before they recontest. And now we see both windows coming out from each side, crisscrossing in the night, as it were. But it's Johnny who's able to get a pick onto Lud. LexSU goes down very, very low, though. But this looks like it's going to be a nice hold for the Yoinkers.
Great recontest coming out, recognizing that with that Widow being dead, it's going to be a late swap coming out. RNG makes this fascinating choice to stay Widow post first shot. That's something I don't think I've ever really seen before, besides the classic Gladiators play back in the Goats meta. It doesn't end up working out for them this time, though. Ooh. Not going to be a highlight reel one. It did end up working slightly. It did get GDB out of the fight, but it's not going to mean anything in the grand scheme of things, because look at all of these ults on the other members of Yoinkers. They're going to probably pull the trigger soon.
Yeah, and now we see the wall come out again. Lud is stunned. The immortality comes out and is barely able to save them. Their health going down so low. The bomb, will it catch anything? Not this time around, and neither will the remake. But the blizzard is out on point, and many go low, and in fact, taken out by members of Yoinkers. And they are putting up a very good hold here on Kings Row.
Absolutely. Winning 2 fights on your first defense for Kings Row, especially after what we just saw on the previous map, is a great sign for things to come. Building these ults and starting to cycle them now. They've got 4 online for this next engagement, whereas Crimson only has 3. They're going to have to try to build something in the mid-fight to flip this.
And we see the wall comes out, as does the amplification measure. Look at this shatter! Look at the flank shatter! Is it going to yield anything? The beat comes out from Brigitte now that Johnny's down to try and keep them up. But will they be able to get enough? As we see Lud charging back in. Chad now chunking damage through that amplification matrix. And now they're gonna be able to push this into a first point cap for Crimson.
Bit of a recontest coming out from the Yoinkers, trying to burn a little bit of extra time on the clock, but it is not going to result in a point flip. Eventually, Crimson will capture, and it's off of the back of some great tank play once again from Lud. Even though that flank shatter ended up getting pulled out from underneath him, he survives in between two Mei walls for an obscene amount of time, buying so much extra time for the rest of his team to pop off, and popping all of their ultimates that they ended up getting online. They have this Blizzard now from RNG to maintain this aggressive position. You see 5 people up ahead in the streets with Stainless playing that cart roll, just pushing it forward. This should set up, once Yoinkers walks into a tight choke, RNG can drop the wall and put down the Blizzard. It's going to be on XSU to try to matrix it.
All right, wall comes out and it splits the members of Yoinkers in half. Blizzard comes out as well. GDB desperately trying to find a corner where they can stay alive, and the shatter is absolutely massive. But the Diva Bomb from XSU is just tremendous and even gets the remake kill this time. What fantastic play from the Yoinkers.
I had the pleasure of watching that one in third person and seeing GDB pin in from the side and just shatter 4 people. That was incredible. Such a great counterplay around the Matrix, or around the Blizzard rather, not being able to Matrix it, but still pulling out the fight win. And now they can start to hold this space aggressively. Zuko with his own Blizzard.
Look at this fantastic Maywall, followed immediately by the Blizzard, taking down members of the Crimson, but the Immortality is out and it's switched. It is switched. The favors have switched, and now it's Holizov holding this Deadeye to try and take out maybe a couple more members of the Yoinkers. But it's Lud who gets the charge onto GDB that's going to open things up and allow this cart to get a little more progress.
That one kind of hurt to watch. It felt like Yoinkers thought they had a much larger advantage than they did in reality. They pushed a little too far out, and a couple people getting picked means the end of the fight. And now we enter this sort of lull phase where teams are recontesting. We have one on the cart still, 5v6 in the front line for Crimson now. It's going to come down to how Scrim Raptor and Johnny end up committing these ultimates. Jamu playing so aggressively, gets forced out, but early window here.
Oh, there's the self-destruct launched in over the tops of everyone's head. Doesn't get anything. Holy is very close to this Deadeye. But it is GDB who's able to get a pick onto Jamu that makes the members of Crimson decide to retreat and try again.
Seems like both teams are making the same fundamental mistake of going way too deep when you really shouldn't be. But now we're back in this equilibrium with the cart where it is. 6v6 in this very tight space. The ults are in favor of Crimson, so Brigitte has to come up clutch with this sound barrier.
Alright, time to see if the clutch will come in. We see Mayball's coming out, the Shatter's thrown in. GDB doesn't catch anybody and is now frozen on point, goes down very, very low. And in fact is taken out by Stainless. Yeah. And now, just mass pandemonium on point. People getting frozen left and right. Scrim Raptor's able to get a pick onto RNG, but it's not going to quite be enough as the rest of the members of Yoinkers fall to the wayside.
GDB dying early there gives Lud the easiest shatter of his life, lays out 4 people, just setting up the rest of Crimson rather to win the rest of that engagement. And Brigitte's sound barrier comes out on time, but it's just a little too early. It doesn't stay active long enough to maintain GDB's life. Going into this next engagement though, they've got the ults in their favor. Now's the time to make a stance, go aggressive, removing Lud is the key.
Alright, and we see Immortality come out as well as the beat from Jamu. Lud goes down though despite all of that extra healing and health that they were getting. And now, GDB pushing the members of Crimson back where they came from.
Back to 6v6, a minute 20 left on the clock. All the ults in favor of Yoinkers once again. If they make this aggressive play here, they can start to really set up a nice defensive hold, but GDB is so low.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, XSU as well. Almost taken out. XSU throws in that mech. Are they going to get the buff? They do. They get Jamu. That's huge. Another hold for the side of Yoinkers. This is fantastic play from them right now.
They're dropping all of these ults in conjunction with one another, and Zuko barely manages to stay alive long enough to get the Blizzard out, frees a couple people to set up XSU's bomb, and now there are no ults on the side of Crimson. They won't have anything available to start this next engage off. Scrim Raptor's High Noon has to be mitigated, but it can set up for GDB Shatter so nicely in this next push.
There's only about 30 seconds left. There goes the Deadeye. It's popped. Is he going to be able to get anything? No, he's not, and in fact, it is Stainless who's able to knock him off the map. What a way to go. What a pick for Stainless. And now the Blizzard comes out, too. And the members of Yoinkers are just getting yoinked back to spawn as hard and fast as they can by the side of Crimson.
Scrim Raptor, why were you playing there, man? That was the only spot you couldn't play. Nice shadow from GDB to open things up on this next engage. It'll demech the Diva for Crimson, but no kills means it's going to be difficult. They end up getting 2 here. And they make
Yeah, and it looks like now that overtime is here, this may be all she wrote for Crimson, as the ticker for overtime keeps going down low, but is just hanging on for dear life, just like the members of Crimson, but that's gonna be all she wrote. And Yoinkers hold just at the end of 3rd point on King's Row.
This is the first time in the series so far where it seems like Yoinkers has a concrete path ahead of them towards victory in a map. You know, on Lijiang Tower, things were a little dicey the whole way through. And on Rialto, they really never had it in their back pocket, in the back of their mind, thinking that they could win it. But now, with the cart being where it is at the very end of 3rd point, but not fully captured, they have the goal set out for them. And honestly, both of these teams are just going so hard and fast that they're losing members in the downtime in between when the engagements should be happening. It feels like this over-aggression from both sides needs to be toned down. Maybe just back it up slightly, figure out exactly when you want to go in rather than just going in 24/7. And then some of these engagements will be a lot cleaner because we're seeing some glimpses of greatness on both sides. But in particular, Yoinkers and their ultimate combos have been so clutch on this map.
That they have. You know, this was the time that they needed their defense to really, really start popping off. And pop off, I think it did. You know, Rialto. Rialto is a very, very hard map to capture. And the fact that both teams did really meant to me that there was something missing from the defense. And whatever that is, Yoinkers has definitely found it now. It's just up to now Crimson to see if they can maybe pull out a harder defense than they've been able to as well in the past.
Going into this first hold, it's going to come down to whichever May gets a nicer wall. Zuko and RNG are vying for space, playing aggressive, trying to set up the rest of their team to walk forward, and Zuko's going very aggressive already. Look at this position.
Wow. Yeah, already the May wall comes out, but it's not really going to split anybody in a useful way. That is, of course, until RNG gets their wall out, splits a couple of members, Lud going down very, very low. Jag forced to pop that, Immortality field, and now Lud goes down very, very low again, and this is huge. It looks like we are going to get a first point take, or at least a little bit of progress made on this first point for the Yoinkers. What a fantastic play from them.
Why are they on Ana? I didn't even notice it at the beginning, but this Ana somehow goes unpunished, able to sleep dart the Reinhardt in the initial part of that first engagement. There's a bit of a recontest coming in from Crimson, but it's going to be hard. Oh, the pit?
Yes, it is. But Lud already gets Brigida. She's down, that's big. But there's an anti-nade now onto Lud. Are they going to be able to stay up? Yes, they are. And it looks like we've got another hold very similar to what we saw from the Yoinkers. In fact, I think, you know, if we still had that little tick mark up there, it might have been at the exact same point. If it wasn't, it was very close.
This is some kind of replay thing going on. I think we're watching the same match back. But Johnny does have this nano online to maintain some aggressive positioning from GDB. It's going to come down to Lud to see if he can land the Shatter if he goes too hard.
Oh, there's the Shatter. It doesn't catch anybody. Dragon Strike comes out there from Scrim Raptor and catches 2. Fantastic play from them. Lud trying anything they can to stay alive, but it's just not enough. And this is going to be first point capped for the Yoinkers.
Take your medicine.
2 very interesting hero choices. Things that we don't typically see in Brawl on this map, in particular the Ana and the Hanzo, both coming up big for the side of Yoinkers in that first point push. And with these 2 heroes in particular, it's going to be even harder to start to push through these tight chokeholds. The Hanzo and the Ana, they are 2 heroes you constantly have to keep in the back of your mind and always worry about as we get a bit of a pause going into this next phase of the map. Nonetheless, these 2 heroes have already proven instrumental to the push so far for Yoinkers. Johnny's landed some huge nades, giving GDB that nano as well to play aggressively, and like we just saw, Scrim Raptor getting to 3k to open things up on their second attack on first. Just 2 very large threats that you're constantly going to have to worry about that you might not necessarily be used to, right? We typically have the Kree and the Baptiste, the standard choices for the Brawl composition, and those are very known quantities, right? You know, the Reinhardts always have to worry about the McCree because of the stun, and the Flash and the Fan, the Amp Matrix and Immortality Field, 2 very important abilities when you're thinking about Baptiste, but the Ana being in the mix changes everything. It's now on Stainless to try to mitigate as much threat from these 2 picks as possible. Get some nice matrixes onto Johnny's nades.
Yeah, oh, and it looks like we are about ready to head back back in. And something that I just noticed is, look at where Johnny Scrims is set up right now in that building, ahead of his team, but I guess looking for either a cheeky sleep or a cheeky nade, perhaps, when this next fight starts.
He's flanking. He's the flanking Ana. And this is something that I love to do in solo queue. It's one of my favorite tactics, personally. Just get behind the enemy lines, no chance for shields or matrixes, and you just land all of your abilities for free, essentially, as long as Yoinkers is ready to, push off of the starting block the moment Johnny lands one of those aggressive abilities. That's when it starts to give value. If you get those and nobody's there to follow up, it doesn't really mean anything, and now you're kind of at a massive disadvantage because you don't have those tools for the ensuing fight. So if this flank play continues from Johnny, Yoinkers has to be really fast off the draw to capitalize on any advantage he ends up getting.
Yeah, and something else I just noticed was this ult advantage that we're seeing.
Yep.
Yoinkers currently has. They've got 4 right now online versus just 1 for the side of Crimson. So yeah, Crimson has quite the hill to climb up if they are planning on holding here.
But they have plenty of ways to disengage. RNG with this Blizzard, it's going to be really difficult to push through that aggressively if they're able to recognize the disadvantage they're currently at and then start to disengage from the fight if things go poorly. They should be able to wait things out, get some of those upcoming ults online, like the Ant Matrix and the Diva Bomb from Stainless. Maybe they'll have a better chance if they just sort of walk away.
Yeah, maybe they will.
Push.
That is if they can walk away, because oh my gosh, here we go. Something big is gonna happen. I can just tell, and I'm excited to see what it is. Oh, Lud has no idea. There's the nade! It's big! And they get the sleep onto Lud as well. That is absolutely massive. Holy goes down first, but Lud is actually able to get back up, pop on their feet, and take down GDB. Now it's all up to this Blizzard, which is coming in big for... Oh my gosh, look at that mech taking down so much damage into Lud. Such beautiful play this time from the Yoinkers.
Really great use of the pause time from Yoinkers. It feels like the longer you have to set that play up, the more successful it's probably going to be. Johnny, during that downtime, he's like, guys, I got this massive nade. You just got to be there to follow up. And that's exactly what they do. Getting a clutch pick onto an unlikely member in Holy Sove. And going into this next fight, we're seeing a similar suite of ultimates that we saw on their first point attack that was successful. The Nano and the Dragon Strike in particular needs to get some value into Jammu Sound Barrier.
Alright, and we see the Diva Bomb comes in, launched over top, doesn't catch anybody, but the Shatter comes in as well. Looks like it was blocked, but XSU goes down. The Shatter! And now we see a trade come in, a huge Shatter from GDB. OMG, GDB. That was just massive. But, oh my gosh, it's not going to be enough, as it looks like Jammu pops that beat, and Holy is able to get the pick onto GDB. And this is going to go the way of Crimson.
The history books might never recognize this fact, but Chegg was the single hero that saved the fight for Crimson, getting that immortality field out just before he gets shattered, preventing anybody from actually dying due to a great shatter from GDB, admittedly. And Jammu Sound Barrier over the top secures the rest of that fight for them, but they're out of mech, and Stainless will end up getting it back, but they have to give up a lot of space to do so, and they're getting a lot of ults back in their pocket on the side of Yoinkers. 56% already on Johnny Scrims Nano, and they need to get those online quickly before RNG's Blizzard comes out and ends this fight fast.
Oh, and here it is. The wall comes out, doesn't catch anybody, but it's able to keep them away from the point. But now we see a fantastic wall from Zuko, splitting the members of Crimson. Immortality comes out to try to keep everybody out, and Zuko pops their Blizzard as well, just about immediately. Lud is the one who goes down, though, and we see GDB getting trapped again, but it looks like they're going to be able to escape. And this fight, though it looks like it's going the way of the Yoinkers, is really not going much of anywhere right now. It looks like they're able to kind of keep things alive on the side of Crimson. Oh, but the point is now very, very close. It's just at the door for third point.
Nice
and
nade.
Lud going down very low. Huge nade. And because of that nade, the pieces, the dominoes just fall all in favor of Yoinkers.
Clutch pick onto Lud. I talked a lot about disengaging in the previous pause, and turns out Yoinkers are the better disengagers because that May ultimate could have been disastrous, but Zuko drops the wall to split the aggression from Crimson, preventing any of the Brawl comp from coming in aggressively, and they make a nice rotation too. And now, they've got the onus to play aggressively with all these ults.
There comes the Diva Bomb, very, very aggressive. Shatter comes in as well. Beat, though, to protect everybody. Holy Soul gets frozen. Lug is the one who goes down, though, first. Followed very shortly by Holy. Another wonderful push from the side of Yoinkers, and they may be able to yoink a win from this. Now we've got this Dragon Strike online as well. Is this going to be what they need to finish it off? No, they don't even need that, as Grim Raptor hits a beautiful headshot onto Check, taking out that huge healing and that amplification matrix that they potentially could have used. Now they're just going to have to back up and try again, but are they going to even get a few? Are they going to even get a full contest as we see this Nano coming in onto GDB, so he can just swing that rocket flail with no regard for anything? And now this Hanzo duel is hot, but it is Scrim Raptor who comes up again. RNG did not favor RNG that time, and the Yoinkers take a win. We've got a match now.
1-2 in the series. Way to clap back, Yoinkers. Very, very nice performance on the Brawl composition. And Lud's signature aggressive tank style does not end up playing out in the favor of Crimson. So many different times it felt like Yoinkers across the board was able to punish him, whether it was Johnny's cooldowns, whether it was the sleep dart or the nades, bypassing everybody on the side of Crimson, shutting out that aggression, making it so hard to push in, or the Diva play from, I believe it was Zuko there. And just so many different ways to shut out the aggression from the tank line at Crimson, and it plays in their favor. They end up winning the map.
That they do. So this is exciting. We're gonna now we're gonna see our first assault map pick of the evening. And if I'm Crimson, what am I thinking right now? Where do I want to go? Somewhere where they can try and recapture some of that magic that they had on Rialto and Lijiang Tower.
Yeah, their double shield performance on Rialto was what I was thinking of in the back of my mind, which was probably their strongest performance so far in the series. It felt like when they were on point with that double shield, nailing all those halts and accretions together, comboing with the sticky mines from the Echo, so they seemed unstoppable, right? They just knew how to get that tempo rolling in their favor and continue it throughout the duration of the map. So maybe they try to go towards something like a Temple of Anubis where double shield is still playable. Volskaya as well, if you try to take things defensively, sit on those high grounds, make contesting really difficult, but choices are limited, right? There's only Hanamura, Temple, and Volskaya, so I'm honestly just upset that we even got to this map point, because I hate 2CP, and I think I'm not alone in that sentiment.
No, I think you've got plenty of company, including like the vast majority of the Overwatch community and the devs, because as we all know, no more assault in Overwatch 2. It's going the way of the second tank and the dinosaurs, apparently. So
looks like we're going to be going to Hanamura though on this next point.
Interesting choice here. Interesting choice. What do you think this favors in terms of compositions?
That's a great question, because there's just so many things running through my head at that point. You can run the symmetric comp on attack to just TP directly there. You can go double shield, sit in the choke, spam, build ultimates, play the double bubble, like we've seen countless times in Overwatch League, where you can just, like I mentioned earlier, play slow, build your ultimates, get that nano onto the Winston. There's a lot of different choices you can make, and I think it comes down to, as the attacking team, what are the defenders running? Scan it, figure out a good counter, figure out what you're comfortable with against it, and then go from there.
Yeah, this is going to be exciting, because I think the momentum has swung firmly in the favor now of Yoinkers. And I think that even started on Rialto. Even though they lost that one, they were able. That was when their defense really started to come together and solidify. And so, yeah.
Ready for battle.
Yeah, I'm expecting a lot of great things out of the
the problems that Yoinkers are running into is sort of the signature issues that a lot of teams end up facing when you are playing at not the highest level, right? You're struggling against things that you're not comfortable against. Non-mirrored matchups, it seems like, is where Yoinkers really falters the most, and Crimson knows how to abuse that, so maybe they come out of the gate with something a little bit surprising. You see the Symmetra Reaper for the DPS lineup, so front-loaded, so explosive, but there's an equal amount of threat on the other side. Scrim Raptors' Hanzo has proven instrumental in their Brawl victories so far, and if he lands the clutch headshot on any part of this engagement, it's going to shut it out immediately.
Oh my gosh, and look at this hold that we're seeing from Yoinkers. I tell you, if this is what European Overwatch is like... Oh, the fight has started in earnest. The wall comes out from RNG, blocking off members of the... and now they've just got a free path Crimson just has a free path to point. It's just whether or not they can make it happen. And it looks like Lud goes down, but so does Scrim Raptor, so it's been equalized. GDB falls, though, very quickly. Johnny not quite able to get that immortality out quick enough in order to save them. X says you now trying to desperately fight away that Diva, who is now on point. And there's already 2 ticks for the side of Crimson. It looks like this creative hold may not have done what the Yoinkers had hoped it would, as the picks are just coming in all for the side of
After going
Crimson.
down that early is just such a massive issue for Yoinkers' defensive hold. Having a 5v6 scenario makes it nearly impossible to win the extended engage, because even if you equalize, the respawn advantage is firmly in favor of the attackers. And going into this next point, they had to swap so many heroes on the defensive side that they're not going to have any ults to maintain into this next push. Look, Jake drops his Amp Matrix and Holy Soap with his shield as well.
This is just absolutely terrifying if you are a member of the Yoinkers. Such aggression and so fast from Crimson. And now Lud is able to get that pick onto Johnny Scrims. That's no good at all for the Yoinkers, because that is almost all of the healing that they had available to them. It's just the heals from Brigitte at this point on that Lucio. That's not much, and even they're down at this point as Crimson just rolls over Yoinkers and caps this map.
That was blazing fast. Crimson,
Yeah.
literally looking like the red flash out here, just tearing through everybody on the side of Yoinkers, running directly towards the point with that ult advantage. A nice TP across that left side as well, really catching the Yoinkers off guard and giving themselves the foothold they needed to really, snowball their advantage. I think they've got a really good understanding of how to do that. They know when things are in their favor very firmly. They've got a great comprehension of resource disadvantage and advantage and ults, and they're abusing the living hell out of it right now. Just running directly towards the objective and walking all over Yoinkers like we've seen so many times previously in the series. It seems like a couple of those hero swaps took them out of their comfort zone on the side of Yoinkers, and they just were not ready for that push.
No, they were not. The Crimson Tide just rolled through and enveloped them like with no mercy at all. Neither in the comp or figuratively. So this is a tall order now for the Yoinkers. They're gonna have to really dig deep if they're gonna pull off a win here, because that is an absolutely massive time bank that Crimson has right now.
Definitely deflated all of the momentum they had going into this map. Unfortunate, but hey, they've been in this situation previously. Big time banks are, at this point, just something that they've grown accustomed to, so maybe they pull something out. Johnny on this Ana, looks like they're going towards this double bubble composition. A little slower, like I mentioned, but it's consistent. If you get this Nano online and the Brawl comp can't play aggressively, you should be able to get a pretty free first fight win.
Yeah, this looks to me like they're going back to comfort picks into their comfort zone right now. Oh my gosh, but Zuko goes down very early to Holy. Holy able to get that nice, to get that Peacekeeper, keeping the peace, as it were, for Crimson. As Brigitte goes down as well from Jammu, and now, yeah, Yoinkers are just going to have to buckle up and try again.
The theme of this match so far is surprise. Crimson just absolutely shocking Yoinkers at every turn. They're not ready for these aggressive plays. Jammu getting slept up, almost taken out, makes it a little bit difficult to sort of get this re-engage started, and this Nano's coming online very quickly for Johnny. He's at 75, 80 now, gets a little bit more. He's going to drop that onto GDB to open things up. Look at Scrim Raptor on this flank too.
Yeah, GDB just taking a little bit of damage. Scrim Raptor getting a couple nice shots in and takes down Chegg very, very low. Chegg has to use that immortality field to save themselves, but Stainless is able to get GDB, and GDB's corpse just gets yeeted out of the map practically, and now Scrim Raptor coming in with the Dragon Strike, and that's big. Johnny popping that nano boost onto Zuko. So much damage that this Echo can do. Scrim Raptor able to take down Stainless too, and now we see Yoinkers possibly getting the opening that they need. Zuko chunking damage into that shield of Lud, and it's just too much to handle. Too much heat in the kitchen, and GDB taking out Jammu as well. That's going to be first point capped. Not quite in the same amount of time as Crimson, but still enough to get something going for the Yoinkers.
The Fire Nation has attacked successfully. Zuko doing so much work in the backline off of Johnny's nano being applied to him. And while GDB does go down early, it just opens it up for the rest of the team to walk through. Going into this next point, we have to watch Zuko's duplicate. There's a lot of good choices. Either tank, the Reaper now from RNG as well. Just, it's going to come down to personal decision and what he has a line of sight available to him. Maybe he goes a little bit aggressive to get a nice copy off, but there's tankless online for them as well. It's going to come down to the supports on the side of Crimson to try to mitigate this aggression from Yoinkers in this next fight.
Look at this, Zuko just bouncing back and forth, trying to find an opening, trying to maybe decide who they want to copy. And now we get the amplification matrix coming out from Chegg. Bomb comes in, and they're able to take out Brigitte. That is massive. That means that every death is permanent right now. No more heals, no more support for Yoinkers. They're just going to have to try again, despite GDB's best efforts. Although they are going ahead and committing the primal rage. They get 2 picks. What is this? Jamu pops a beat to try and let them stay alive. XSU goes down, though, and despite GDB's best efforts with that primal, that's going to be a hold for Crimson.
Zuko's copy goes a little bit awry because it comes at the same exact time as Stainless's self-destruct, which catches Brigitte, and now we're going towards a full comp swap going into this next push. Good choice to stay on the Hanzo from Scrim Raptor, however. I think this Dragon Strike in the past has really caught Crimson unawares and punished their poor positioning, so if he's able to pull it off again with Johnny Scrims getting this nano online as well, maybe drop that onto one of the tanks if they get a little low, this push should be easily maintained. They just have to worry about Lug Shadow.
Yes, and Lug is looking for it. Oh, there comes the Dragon Strike. It's tearing through members of Crimson. That immortality field comes out from Chegg, and now this could be the opening that the Yoinkers want. They know that immortality is down, so anything they do can take effect. And look at this, Zuko with the nano. Oh my gosh, is able to get a fan the hammer onto Jamu, but Brigitte goes down as well. Both Lucios down for each team. Oh no, and picks coming in for each side, but it is favoring the Yoinkers right now. As we hear this, what is Zuko eating? What are they feeding him? Because this man is coming alive, and right now it's going to be a tough contest for Crimson if they're even going to get one. And we see RNG trying their best using that Ray 4, but it's that rocket hammer from GDB that's able to finish him off, although they go down very quickly. And now we see the stall characters come out. Stainless onto this wrecking ball, trying to keep this momentum alive, and Lud gets an amazing charge onto Johnny Scrims. No more Moira either. So, if they're going to do something, they've got to make some magic happen, as now this is turning over in favor of Crimson. More members of them on point at the moment than Yoinkers. And with 2 minutes on the clock, I think they're just going to have to be satisfied with 2 ticks and try again.
They do manage to get 2 ticks, like you mentioned, and they have the Dragon Strike once again from Scrim Raptor. It didn't get anything in that previous engagement, and overall, I think the reason why that push was lost was because of the chaos. A lot of the members of Yoinkers changed their positioning, maybe not necessarily on purpose, but as that continues during the rest of the fight, they just kind of get picked off because of where they're playing. And now, on this next engage, I'm curious to see whether they learn from that mistake and start to play a little bit more passively on the high ground.
Yeah, that would be the play here, I think. And there comes the Dragon Strike. Once again, possibly clearing that high ground. Doesn't get any picks, but Zuko is able to find Chegg. And so without that huge amount of heals, this could go very easily in the favor of the Yoinkers. Brigitte popping that beat to keep their members alive and allow them to play so much more aggressively. But the counter beat comes in from Jamu, and now Crimson is able to push. They pop the amplification matrix, and GDB is able to actually find that pick onto the main tank of Crimson, which really spells doom for Crimson. They try to get a Holy Solve tries to get a Deadeye out, but has to back out of that. GDB goes down very, very low again. Johnny Scrims once again using that immortality field to keep his team up, but it's not enough as the Crimson Tide rolls in again and pushes away the members of the Yoinkers one more time. They've only got to do it one more, and that'll be a win for them. So it's do or die right now once again for the Yoinkers.
I feel so bad for the Yoinkers, man. They've got their work cut out for them. 30 seconds on this attack, and even if they do manage to capture it, against all the odds, they're going to have to defend first for 5 minutes and 17 seconds straight, which, you know, if Rialto's anything to go off of, it's maybe doable, but it's dire for them.
Yeah, and we see, oh, the bomb comes out on point. Does it catch anybody? No, it doesn't, but it clears the Yoinkers, makes them scatter a little bit. This is going to be hard to get back together after that, and XSU already finds value. The bomb goes down. Johnny Scrims is out, though, from the side of the Yoinkers, and even though things are going in their direction right now, that could spell trouble, although they've almost got this thing captive. Zuko, if the Fire Nation is able to keep things alive for the Yoinkers, they will in fact do it, and that's going to be a second point cap for the Yoinkers. We've still got more Overwatch for you, everybody.
I don't know how long this Overwatch is going to last for, man. This is 5 minutes and 17 seconds. This is what nightmares are made of if you play competitive Overwatch. I mean, how do you win this, right? Like, this is almost impossible to defend. And while this is a show match and the results don't really mean anything, this still feels awful, right? You got to do everything in your power to just maintain and keep your head above water, it'll feel like, because the moment an attacking team on this point in particular gets a pick, it's lights out for the defense because of that respawn advantage. It is just so in favor of the attacking team that Crimson, all they have to do is realistically just get one ult combo online, one pick from a sniper, anybody mispositioning on the side of Yoinkers, and the dominoes, like you mentioned earlier, will absolutely fall over.
Yeah, the name of the game for the Yoinkers has to be sustain, sustain, sustain. And I think we're seeing that come out right now because we've got Brigitte on this Mercy. That means that, yeah, it's not necessarily YOLO. It's more of a YOLT. You only live twice. But that's only the case for one person. So, yeah, this, I think, is the way that they needed to go to try and keep their hopes alive for a map number 5.
I don't know if it's going to work in the long run, though, because Crimson has already shown that they're capable of playing extremely aggressively, and the comp that Yoinkers is running is vulnerable if you go quickly enough. I mean, look at this. What is Crimson running right now? Please go back to Swan. Thank you. Okay, back to traditional Brawl. They got the Symmetra. I don't think they... Okay, no, they're keeping it. I think they're going to try to teleport directly to point, but if Zuko is ready, he can burst them down.
Yes, T-Can. Those rockets are going to make it very, very hard for them to get that TP out, as is that wall. Yeah, Crimson... Yoinkers doing a good job of burning off a little bit of time here, and there goes the TP. Oh, an excellent boop from Zuko. It disrupts the rotation. Is it going to disrupt it enough, though? It looks like the answer is yes, as Janu goes down very early from Johnny Scrims. And now we see Stainless trying to desperately find some purchase in the back there. Looked like they just decided to yeet themselves off the map and try again. Crimson knows they've got plenty of time to make the magic happen.
A Yoink one fight win, and they get the barrage online from Zuko. I think that's not going to be good for the side of Crimson because, yes, you have that Diva Matrix and the Immortality Field, but if you're committing to this strategy of Brawl, you can't really do anything against it because it's just so much burst over time. If you're not prepared for it, and if Zuko gets like a nice flank off, maybe off the top of this roof here, it can end the fight very quickly.
Yeah, and look at this swap. We have RNG going over to this Widow. Now I think they're saying to themselves, look, if we get one pick, it's over. And oh, what a fantastic wall from Scrim Raptor, able to separate the members of Crimson. And Zuko able to find RNG very quickly after that as well. And now Crimson is just stuck in this terrible situation where, honestly, they just need to die and try again as fast as they can. But they're continuing to push.
This is not going to result in any concrete progress on the cart. I mean, Stainless is sprinting towards the edge of the map just to kill himself, and we'll end that engagement quickly. But it's been 2 minutes off the clock now with almost no end in sight to this defensive hold for Yoinkers, and they've maintained all the tools, all the ultimates that they need to continue holding. RNG has to swap back to Mei, committing to this standard Brawl composition, and all they really have to push Zuko back is this High Noon and this Amp Matrix, but Zuko can just fly right behind them and drop this this barrage.
That he can, and I'm gonna be, oh, look at that! Jack goes down early, and then Holy Solve just as quickly, that barrage already doing work. Zuko is even able to stay alive during it. What a fast and furious, fight win from the Yoinkers.
Stainless gets a nice eat onto a questionable Mei ultimate from Scrim Raptor in a 2v6 scenario, so now they don't really have the ults that they might necessarily want once the Brawl comp reaches the point, right? You don't really have anything besides this self-destruct to force them back, and Brigitte has to try to save all of the members of Yoinkers in this next engagement.
There goes the bomb. It's not going to catch anybody. The wall is well up, keeping members of Crimson at bay. But now, with nothing else like that, they're having to push back. And look at all of this damage boost coming in from Brigitte's from Brigitte's Valkyrie, and the Fire Strike gets Holy Soft. That's, just, again, spelling disaster, but this bomb could be big because, the shield wasn't necessarily where it needed to be, but Johnny Scrims in there with that immortality field, and now the fight's getting pushed onto the point. This brawl has just been fantastic. Scream Raptor goes down to Lud, though. That's no good, and they are just within spitting distance of this win, and members of Yoinkers are going down left and right, and I believe we are going to see this show match come to a close. Maybe not as GDP is able to kind of hold on, but no, there it is. Crimson are your show match winners, continuing their dominance over the Yoinkers. What a fantastic game from both teams. Great Overwatch, I think, that we saw tonight.
Yeah, both teams, I think, can be proud of some individual performances they had, but there were some holistic issues on both sides. It feels like Crimson, when it's clutch time, when their backs are against the wall, relatively speaking, and all they have to do is just get one win to close it out, they really struggle. I mean, like, on Rialto, they took them the full 4 minutes just to push all the way to the end of the first point. And as that Hanamura hold just proved, they really struggle in those scenarios as well. It seems like with their backs against the wall, Yoinkers still has the potential to clutch everything out if they really try to, but overall, Crimson getting the edge in some key areas, namely the tanks. I feel like Lud and Stainless really proved their worth for the side of Crimson.
Yeah, that they did. And you know what? The game might be over today, but don't worry because there is so much more Overwatch coming. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday at 8 p.m. again. There's gonna be more Overwatch to see for those 3 days. And then we are back again on Sunday at 8 o'clock for a Yoinkers versus Master Pack game. So lots of fantastic Overwatch in store for you. I had a blast tonight. Do you have any final words you want to say, Amintus?
Absolutely, I do. You know I always do.
Yes,
thank you to everybody that's putting this on so far, in particular Johnny for, hosting the server and doing all of this really cool scripting that I've never actually seen before. So very interesting stuff. And honestly, can't wait for the rest of the week to play out, get some more casts, and really just show you guys some more great Overwatch. So thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Echoing everything that Amintus just said. So, GG's and see you next time, everybody.
See ya.